All right, good afternoon. Welcome back. We're going to try it one more time, this time with the microphone turned on. How you doing? All right, it is a Tuesday, 6th day of September 2016, a Super Monday, if there were ever such a thing. There's a ghost in the machine, one of the machines, but the other machine seems to be performing just fine. So we're going to jump straight to the numbers. Here in the U.S., the Dow is up 15 points, the NASDAQ is up 17, S&P is up 2.5, and the Russell 2000 is flat. As we turn to our commodity basket, crude oil is down 6 cents. Gold is rocking it, trading at $13.45, up $18.30 an ounce. Now that's well over 1%. In Asia, the Nikkei up 44 points, Shanghai up 19, Hang Seng up 138 points, and so that's a little over 0.5%. And the government smiled and all looked at each other and said, "We did good." In Europe, the DAX is up 15 points. The FTSE is down 53. The CAC is down 11. The only mover and shaker in that bunch would be the FTSE, which is down 0.75%. So it's a happy day for Greta, what's her name, over at Fox News. I think it's Greta. She won a $20 million sexual harassment lawsuit. We'll talk about that later in the show. And $20 million? Because some guy came onto her? I don't know. You know who he reminds me of? In The Good Wife, the guy that slept without his pants? The older, retired attorney? Yeah, you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, the guy that supposedly harassed her, he looks so much like that guy, it's not even funny. And that guy on that show was, of course, charged with, you got it, sexual harassment. So, without any further ado, let's go to Michael, get a recap of everything that happened in the live trading room today. He's got a meeting this afternoon for those who are on the trial, and then I have a meeting this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern for everyone who is on the Concierge Trade Alert trial. Now, if you don't know how to take that trial, go to emini.cfrn.net. I've made it extremely easy for you to figure it out, click the right button, take the trial. Invitations will only be sent out to those who are actually on the trial. I'm going to teach you how to trade the alerts that we'll be recapping here in just a few minutes. Michael, take it away.
All right, here we go. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. Bing, ding. Right,
so
here we go.
I'm sorry, what I see?
Let me shut the recording off. This 78 to 81.
Oh, good.
Okay, now put the recording back on. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 6th day of September 2016. Today in the live trading room, we were up 12 ticks on soybeans, 8 ticks on the euro, 5 ticks on crude, and 12 ticks on gold. That's a total of $370 a contract. I like having that new column. Takes all the pressure off. All that adding pressure that I have. And multiplying. Anyway, so we're up $370 a contract. Today it took us 33 minutes and 5 trades to get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 14 trades today.
Muted. Unmuted.
And we took a total of 14 trades today. Our gross profit so far this month is $896. That's over 3 trading days, averaging $298 per day. $298 per day. So if you had an $8 commission, your net profit so far over the 3 days this month would be $504. And if you had a $5 commission, your net profit so far this month would be $651. On the year now, we're at $41,741. That's over 167 trading days, averaging $249 per day. $249 a day. Okay. That's all of that. Now let's find, here it is, our home page. All right, to take a free trial with us, the live trading room mentoring free trial. To take that, just go here to CFRN.net in the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial. Put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that confirmation link, you do not get the free trial. All right, so don't forget to do that. All right, that is that with that. Now let's get into the gold. I had highlighted this area this morning, about an area that gold was having a hard time getting through, and you can see that it is again. Actually, that may not have been the area. I think it was right in here was the area, and then it finally got through it and we got some trades. But on gold today, our first trade on gold, we stopped out -8 ticks. Then we made 5 ticks there to put us at -3. Then 2 ticks there to put us at -1. Then 8 ticks there to put us at +7. Nothing there. And 5 ticks there to put us at +12. During the break, we had dynamic support. No trades yet during the break. There may be one coming up right here. We've broken that area of resistance, and so now I would just put that there like that. 46.2 up to 46.4 would not be good enough. It's going to have to go up to 46.8. Okay. On the ES today, let's see, did I highlight anything on the ES? No, I did not. The ES was kind of a dog this morning. Just went really flat and choppy. We did have a daily double. I can tell you where it is now because it's already triggered and gone to the target. Our daily double said it came out at 10:38 a.m. So it came out over here, and it said consider buying 2178 with the first target at 2181 and a second target. Well, I won't put that on there yet. But the first target at 2181, it was a 3-point target, and it achieved that. Okay. Crude oil. We had some trades here in crude. All right, in crude, our first trade right here was a break even. Next trade we made 5 ticks profit, then another break even, then another break even. I missed a trade there, and that was it. During the break there was a long trade right here and there, and that was about it during the break. It's not trending right now, so I wouldn't be going short right here. Okay, but we ended with +5 on crude. Soybeans. Let's see, on the soybeans, right here we had a long trade. We took 12 ticks profit on that trade, and then we had a couple of break-even trades in there. Okay, a couple of break-evens. During the break, there was really nothing you could do in here during the break. You might have gone long right in here. I'll bounce off the BBC, but everything's kind of flat in there with the soybeans now. Let's see, today is Tuesday. Just looking in the book here. Hold on a minute. September. Today, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, there's a crop progress report. Okay, and crop production on Monday in soybeans. That's going to be a big one. This crop production at noon. It's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock Central Time this afternoon. But Monday at noon, this crop production, and then at 4 o'clock Eastern, there's another crop progress. Okay, so that's a big one for the soybeans. All right, and that's it. On the beans, we were +12. On the euro, we missed a ton of trades here on the euro, but we got that one right there. We got 8 ticks profit on that one. We had one more break-even trade way over here. But you can see I missed that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And, well, during the break, And this was actually before the break. There was a short right in there. Just right there was a short. And then a long trade from right here during the break. And another long trade from right in here, as a matter of fact. So I missed a bunch of movement today on the euro. But that was it. That was it for our day. We had a pretty decent day, all things considered. We're up $370 a contract. If you have not taken a free trial with us, just go to the homepage here at CFRN.net, and in the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. Okay? Once you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. Okay? Let's see. This is our recap. So today we made 12 ticks profit in soybeans, 8 in the euro, 5 in crude, and 12 in gold. We're up $370 a contract. Took us 33 minutes and 5 trades to get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 14 trades. So I think, don't I have a new column way over here? Oh, this one didn't carry down. There. Average profit per trade, $26 a trade today. That's our best day this week, looks like. Let me just make sure that's simple. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's right. All right. So on the month, we're up $896.25. That's over 3 trading days, averaging $298 a day. On the year, we're up $41,741. That is over 167 trading days, averaging $249 a day. Is hit target and now it's closed below the black step. Yes, you should have locked in your first target there.
Depends upon the time frame he's trading in.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. And that's it. That's it, guys. With that, I'm going to stop the recording, and we can head back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona. There. Okay. So we just missed a long trade right there, and another one right over here. Okay. All right, Dwayne, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, push the charts back over and I'll take it.
Okay. Send it to the one with your picture. There you go.
Okay, and I'll grab it.
Okay, you just put that text in there to everybody. Good. I was going to actually show them, but now you have it. So you can take care of it.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. A couple of headlines we need to talk about because they're important. Election day is upon us. I put a message in the chat box for anyone that wants to participate in that webinar this afternoon. The webinar will be at 5 p.m. Eastern. In order to come to that webinar, you actually have to be on the trial because that's the purpose of the webinar, to teach those who are receiving the Concierge Trade Alerts how to trade them. Okay? If you are already a Concierge Trade Alert client, then you don't want to come to a public webinar where I just kind of touch on a couple things. What you want to do is you want to sign up for a personal mentoring session so that you and I can dig deep and make sure that you understand everything you need to know about the alerts you're receiving each night and how to put them to the best use. As we go over the alerts today later in the program, I'll point a couple of things out and I think you'll better understand. So if you're already receiving the Concierge Trade Alerts, set up a private mentoring session if you need some help. I know a lot of you don't need my help. In fact, you trade them better than I do. But for those of you that are on the trial this week you will get an email invitation about 4 p.m. Eastern inviting you to the 5 p.m. Eastern webinar. Okay? All right. So let me get after the things I got to get after. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here we are. Okay. Trump, I'm sure you've heard, after being down in the polls, has vaulted into a narrow lead over Hillary Clinton. Oh my goodness. I got to have some kind of a noise maker, a little baby rattle, something around here. Now, is that because I'm the biggest Trump fan in the world? No, far from it. In fact, as I've said many times, when there were 16 candidates standing on that stage at the first presidential debate, not being a betting man, if someone had said, I'll bet you $1,000 Trump's going to be the last man standing, even though I'm not a betting man, I would have had to have taken a little bit of that action because it just seemed so impossible. Every time he opens his mouth, he tries to talk his way out of the job, but yet the American people stood up and said, that's exactly who we want. Somebody that's not afraid to say what they think, even if it sounds stupid. At least it's not more of the same old, same old. This current administration has created more debt for the American people to work off and pay off than every president before him combined. Now, has that helped us in some way? You say, well, yes, look at the stock market. It's at all-time highs. Our guest last week said it was a fake bull market, and I agree with him that it's a fake bull market. And when this sucker finally topples over, look out below, because everybody's going to know that it is just that, a fake bull market. Now, we're going to start out, hang on. Okay, Dane's going to join us at 1 o'clock, 1 to 1:30. Hang on, let me give him a phone number to call. So that means I need to move fast. Okay. All right. Can I help you, Mike?
Nope, I was just going to say the technical difficulties at the beginning, that kind of ate up 15 minutes too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so after weeks of being down in the polls, Donald Trump has vaulted into a narrow lead over Hillary Clinton, according to a new national survey released today. The CNN ORC poll showed the Republican presidential nominee with 45% of the vote from likely voters. His Democratic rival earned 43% in a four-way race that included Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson and Green Party candidate Jill Stein. Trump's two-point lead was within the poll's margin of error, 3.5 percentage points, meaning the race is essentially tied. The real estate mogul led by 1 point in a head-to-head race. But Trump seems to be doing well with independent voters, a crucial block in any election. 49% of those voters in the poll said they'd vote for Trump, while only 29% said they backed Clinton. Johnson carries a significant proportion of independents with 16%, saying they would actually vote for him. Trump, however, is in trouble with minority voters. 71% of non-whites in the polls said they actually preferred Clinton. Despite Trump's recent rise in the polls, a CNN poll from early August, by comparison, showed Clinton with an 8-point lead. Most voters surveyed said they still expect Clinton to win in November. Clinton has consistently topped Trump since general election polling began. Trump briefly took the lead over Clinton after the Republican National Convention in July, but Clinton came out on top again after the Democrats' convention the next week. Another poll released today shows Clinton ahead of Trump by 4 points in a four-way race with Johnson and Stein. The NBC News survey Monkey Poll has Clinton with 48% of the vote and Trump with 42%. The race has been narrowing in recent weeks, with Clinton seeing her large leads over Trump erased in many polls. So folks, we got ourselves a horse race here. You got to get out and vote, number one. Number two, you got to go talk to your neighbor and make sure they're not doing something stupid like voting for Clinton. I mean, just ask them, are you aware of all the dead bodies that surround this woman? Are you aware of the emails? Are you aware of Benghazi? Can you even fog a mirror? What in the world are you thinking? I mean, I have given you day after day after day after day so much evidence on this radio program, you should be able to hold a town hall meeting yourself and tell people why they should not vote for Hillary Clinton. Now, do I think Donald Trump is the best choice for President of the United States of America? Unfortunately, I can't say yes. I wish I could. I mean, all the headlines say that no matter who wins, they will be the most hated president in American history. Boy, that makes you excited about the next 4 years, doesn't it? However, there's only one shot, there's only one chance, there's only one hope, and that's that Trump gets into the Oval Office and starts to run this country not like a charity, but like a business with a profit and loss statement. And yes, some people are going to be offended because he's not always politically correct. Good. It's about time you got offended. It's about time you got up off the couch. It's about time you stopped wallowing in your own self-pity and went and got a job and helped turn this country around. Speaking of jobs, ITT Educational Services just whacked 8,000 employees. They're shutting down, going out of business. Now, ITT's been around a long time. They are direct competitors with Phoenix University. I know a little something about their business model. It is, well, it all starts in a phone room. People see a commercial while they're lounging around at mom's house watching Springer, and it says, hey, can you fog a mirror? We can get you a government loan. You can go to school and be somebody. And your mom says, you better call that number now. And so, oh, Mom, you get out the cell phone that mom's paying for and you call the number. And they put you through to one of the heavy hitters, okay? The guy that knows how to close you, how to get you to sign on the dotted line. And then they know how to go out and every grant, every scholarship, every dime of government money and loans, they know how to plug you in. You may be a round peg, but they can fit you in a square hole. Now, they used to get paid real good money for doing this. I have a friend who started in not the room with the heavy hitters. You don't start there. See, once a person calls in on the commercial, if the heavy hitter can't close them, after about a month, that lead trickles down to the cold call room. And this is where my friend went to work. And he would take that lead and he would call that person and say, hey, I see that you called in about 30 days ago regarding an education with Phoenix University. ITT had the same business model. And they'd go, oh, yeah, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do. And so my friend would go into his pitch. And if he could get them closed, ready to sign, he'd pass them back to a hitter and he would close them. Okay. Now, were the commissions good? Yeah. My friend used to make 100 grand plus at Phoenix University. Well, then the government clamped down. And they said, we think there's some shenanigans going on here. Congress passed a couple of laws, and while my buddy got promoted to the heavy hitter department, in fact, they moved him to Hawaii, him and his girlfriend, because they wanted him to be sort of a manager over one of the heavy hitter departments, because he was pretty good on the phone. So he's living the good life in Hawaii, when all of a sudden, whack, Congress takes half his paycheck. He goes from 100 grand a year to 50 grand a year. Now, they figured a couple of ways to get around some of the stuff and get some of their money back. But when a company sees their income cut in half, something's got to change. Somebody's got to go. Now, there's no news out yet on Phoenix University, but ITT has thrown in the towel. The for-profit education provider said today that the move would also affect hundreds of thousands of students and alumni. If Phoenix University is smart, they will get their hands on that list. And you know what happens next. This is a comment from ITT. We've reached the decision only after having exhausted the exploration of alternatives, including transfer of the schools to a nonprofit or public institution. So they tried. Okay, this message just in. We need to roll the bonds. Company's been under investigation by government authorities for allegations of fraud and deceptive marketing tactics. It's the phone room I was talking about. In August, the U.S. Department of Education banned the company from enrolling students who get federal aid. ITT's accrediting agency said in April that ITT technical institutes, which provide career-oriented education programs, had not demonstrated compliance with certain accreditation standards. The for-profit education sector has been struggling with falling enrollment, poor job placement records, and regulatory scrutiny. ITT's shares were halted in pre-market trading. Keep your eye on Phoenix University. Are they publicly traded? Let's find out. They also go by the name Apollo Education Group. What I'm looking for is a parent company of University of Phoenix, could be sold to the owner of Stand by. McGraw-Hill Education. Now, you remember McGraw-Hill. I mean, your Jack and Jill book when you were in first grade was printed by McGraw-Hill. Apollo Global Management, University of Phoenix. The deal between Phoenix-based Apollo Education and Apollo Global Management, a New York private equity firm, could be worth about $1 billion, some of the people said, with one of them adding an agreement could be reached in the next few weeks. Now, this is an old news release, so this could already be a done deal. Big money in education, guys. They promise you the world. That was one of the problems. Oh, here we go. Now, back when this news release came out some months ago, the markets are taking this news well as shares of Apollo Education Group are up 23% in after-hours trading. Remember, this is old news months ago. At the close today, the publicly traded market cap of Apollo was $692 million. Apollo Global Management, founded by veterans of junk bond pioneer Drexel Burnham Lambert, is known for a willingness to invest in struggling industries and companies. For example, last year it pursued, though never closed, a deal for property mogul Nicholas Scorch's troubled real estate empire. So, watch Apollo Group. Let me see if I can pull up a symbol on Apollo Group. Apollo Education Group, University of Phoenix. It's all the same thing. But I'm not seeing a stock quote. Could it be that they've taken it back private? I don't know. Investor relations. Okay. SEC filings. Financial financial information. Let's see what we got here. Because this is one to watch if they're still trading. And if they play their cards right, the demise of ITT could put these guys over the top. I'm seeing a 10K for 2015. I'm not seeing anything for 2016. Let's see what the latest news release says. Okay, this is current. July 7th, 2016. Apollo Education Group today reported financial results for the 3 and 9 months ended May 31st, 2016, with third quarter revenue of $558 million and diluted earnings per share from continuing operations of 19 cents or 37 cents excluding special items. So not only are they doing well, they're paying dividends. We remain committed to our transformational plan at University of Phoenix, which we believe will, stand by, which we believe will result in a higher retaining and more focused and trusted university. That's from Greg, the CEO. We also continue to grow internationally through Apollo Global, where we serve more than 150,000 students on 6 continents. While we have significantly reduced the cost base of the company, we will continue to look for additional efficiencies as necessary in order to support our long-term strategic plan. And then all of a sudden, ITT falls right in their lap. Guys, watch Apollo. This could be good. I'll have more information on it for you tomorrow. I'm concerned about, okay, the stock's trading today at $8.93 a share on volume of 58,000, nothing to write home about. The 52-week high, 1243, the 52-week low, 631. So we're kind of in the middle there. There's a 20-minute delay on that quote. So keep an eye on this one. The stock symbol is APOL. I'll do some technicals on it later today and see if I could give you some better information tomorrow. All right, moving right along. Janet Yellen just made a call that could tarnish her legacy at the Fed. Larry Summers is worried about Federal Reserve Board Chair Janet Yellen. In a piece in the Washington Post published today, Summers argues that Yellen's speech at August's Jackson Hole Symposium could rank with one of the most infamously bad calls in Fed history. Now, here's what Summers said. My second reason for disappointment in Jackson Hole was that Federal Reserve Board Chair Janet Yellen, while very thoughtful and analytic, was too complacent to conclude that even if average interest rates remain lower than in the past, I believe that monetary policy will, under most conditions, be able to respond effectively. The statement may rank with former Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke's unfortunate observation that subprime problems would be easily contained. And while this from Summers might seem like run-of-the-mill punching up at the world's most powerful economist, invoking Bernanke's contained call ahead of the housing crisis is a serious charge. In 2007, speaking before Congress, then Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke said, now this is in 2007, at this juncture, however, the impact of the broader economy and financial markets of the problems in the subprime market seem likely to be contained. Was he really that thick, or who paid him to say that? Because if there's no way Ben Bernanke believed that. He's so smart that he's one smart cookie. Of course, less than 2 years later, the failure of both the Fed and the financial markets to contain the fallout from subprime lending nearly toppled the entire global economy. The entire post-crisis era of economics, in a way, has been defined by attempts to avoid making the next contained call. Consider Yellen's long discussion of uncertainty in a June speech. And so Summers charged that contrary to Yellen's comments at Jackson Hole, the Fed likely does not have the tools to aid the economy during the next downturn is serious indeed. Elsewhere in Summers' post, the Harvard president reiterates much of his long-held view that the U.S. economy is mired in secular stagnation, or a persistent lack of economic growth primarily held back by soft demand, and thinks this view is being underplayed by policymakers. In short, Summers disagrees with the Fed's jawboning toward an economy that is getting stronger and can handle higher rates. But it's one thing to argue against the Fed's public communications about futures policy. Summers does this all the time. It's another to say that the Fed is repeating perhaps its most embarrassing historical error ever. Wow. Imagine the next time these guys come to sit down across the table from each other. I'd love to be a fly on that wall. Now, unless you live in a cave, you know that September 7th will be Apple's biggest day of the year. Now, our good friends over at Business Insider will be there live as they unveil the next iPhone. Let's just call it the iPhone 7 from now until we're told differently. The design isn't expected to change much according to numerous leaks and report, but there are a few things that supposedly will change. There will be two models again. Apple is expected to release two models, the 4.7 inch and the 5.5 inch. There will be two cameras on the back of the phone. The larger camera lens presumably means the iPhone will have a larger sensor that can gather more light and produce better photos. The 5.5-inch iPhone 7 Plus is, again, said to have a dual camera system that takes two images at once and stitches them together into one great photo. Dual cameras could also let you change the focus of photos, giving them the same look as photos taken with a digital SLR. Number 5. This is the biggest one of all. The headphone jack is going away. It's all but confirmed that the iPhone 7 won't have a headphone jack. This will easily be the most controversial move Apple has made in years, so it'll be interesting to hear the company's explanation for it. Instead of a traditional headphone jack, you'll have to use headphones that plug into the iPhone's Lightning charging port or use a pair of Bluetooth headphones. Apple will likely include a pair of Lightning earbuds with the iPhone 7. Apple is said to be working on new wireless earbuds that will launch with the headphone jackless iPhone 7. If we had to guess, Apple will likely push the wireless earbuds as a separate accessory and not include them with the iPhone 7, as some have speculated. Now that would be wrong. Apple will likely include a dongle for regular headphones. Well, what if you want to plug into your regular headphones? According to accurate Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo of KGI Securities, Apple will likely include a dongle that lets you plug in regular headphones through the Lightning port. The home button's changing. The iPhone 7's home button won't be a button at all. It'll be a pressure-sensitive pad with no moving parts. This is likely a way for Apple to wean users off the home button, which is expected to go away altogether in next year's iPhone. New colors. There are several unconfirmed reports floating around that Apple is considering a new dark blue and a glossy black piano finish. Now, I have a glossy black digital baby grand piano in my living room, and so I know exactly what that color looks like. Some have even created mock-ups for what that'll look like. If you go on the internet, you can check it out. But hey, the 7th, tomorrow, we're all going to know. Rumor has it the iPhone 7 will be water resistant. In other words, you can drop it in the toilet and it will survive for up to 30 minutes underwater. Now, this has been a standout feature in Samsung's phones so far this year. Besides the new iPhone, we may also see a new version of the Apple Watch. There might be new headphones from Beats. And we'll get a final release date for iOS 10, Mac OS Sierra, TV OS, and Watch OS 3. So we'll be live blogging the event tomorrow as it happens during the show. And if there's anything cool, well, you know us. We'll tell you all about it. Let's go to our good word for the day and talk about your personalized roadmap. Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.com will be joining us momentarily. Ephesians 1:11, who works out everything in conformity with his will. The Bible says that before you were born, every day of your life was recorded, every moment, laid out before a single day had passed. Psalm 139:16. God personalized a roadmap for your life in conformity with his will. And it's your job to discover it and walk within its confines. Terry Nance says, you may know your ultimate destination, but need guidance on how to get there. First and foremost, God's Word is a lamp for your feet and a light for your path. Psalm 119:105. He sees the big picture, the shortcuts, and the pitfalls. Don't look for external guidance. The Holy Spirit lives inside you, and it's from within. Yes, is Dane with us?
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, Dane, welcome to the show.
Hear me?
I hear you great.
Dwayne.
Yes, Dane, I can hear you.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're online.
Yeah. So tell me, did you dial in, log in? What'd you do?
I'm dialed in right now. I just had a few things going on my screen, and I'm dialed in right now, but hope the audio is okay.
Audio's perfect. Yeah. No, you sound great. Now, you had sent an email earlier today, and I'm thinking you probably would like to talk about that. I'll be honest, I was in the live trading room at the time that email came in, but you were publishing something new on your site as of today. So is that what you'd like to talk about?
You know, truthfully, I'm trying to recall what I sent you today, but let me go over an article that's new today on the Market Mogul. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that site.
I'm not.
But I just sent you a link if it sends out. I'm having a little email trouble here, but here's the headline: Engineering the Earth or How to Fight Global Warming. Now, this is where we have sites that are pretending that the climate engineering assault has not already long since been deployed and ongoing. So here you have one of many, many articles, same type as on Bloomberg and other sites as well, describing everything we see in our skies, but pretending it's not already going on, and also pretending that somehow this is going to fix everything and we can continue to loot, plunder, and pillage the planet in the same way, and everything will be fine if we just fill our skies with toxic light-scattering particles, as if there's no consequences with that. So, again,
Give me the name of that website again, if you would.
It's called the Market Mogul, and I just sent you, Dwayne, see if it went out.
Sometimes my email is a little slow coming in, but I just wanted to bring it up on the screen. Marketmogul.com. It must be something different because that site's not.
This is a themarketmogul.com.
The all-important the. Okay.
Yeah, themarketmogul.com.
Themarketmogul.com. I also, of course, want to bring up your website for all those who are logged in. What the Apple tax dispute means for the EU-U.S. relationship. Now, I'm sure that's not, or is that, that's not what you're referring to?
No, I would say Engineering the Earth on the article, and I just tried to send that to you. Let me try one more time. I am having a little bit of...
Let me refresh my inbox.
But the point is with this, that people might, your listeners may wonder, you know, why I'm so stuck on climate engineering as being such a massive problem. Quite simply because if the Earth's life support systems are completely decimated from this type of intervention, it's game over, and nothing else really matters then, does it? So this is why I believe anybody that rationally and objectively examines the facts will realize that if the boat sinks, it doesn't matter what you're going to do to maintain the rest of the boat. If it's on the bottom of the sea, it really doesn't matter at that point. And the epitome of man's arrogance, man's insanity, is the attempt to intervene in Earth's life support systems via climate engineering, which is toxifying everything on the ground. And another point that should be of interest, we can go into to whatever detail you want.
I found the article. It was announced at the G20 summit that both the U.S. and China together are responsible for 40% of the world's carbon emissions. Okay.
Now, and this is, again, the proposal in here that's outlined to engineer the climate by spraying particulates into the atmosphere to block some of the sun's incoming thermal energy, with, of course, no mention of the consequences, no admission that it's been going on for 70 years already. And let's couple this with an article also new today, Dwayne, from The Guardian. Are you familiar with The Guardian?
I am,
and
yes.
Toxic air pollution particles found in human brains. What a coincidence. So this article focused on magnetite particles, and in fact noted that there were literally, in fact, I'll read a headline from this. It found abundant particles of magnetite, an iron oxide, in the human brain, talking about millions of magnetite particles per gram of freeze-dried human brain tissue is truly extraordinary, said the researchers. So what happens is when you have these kind of nanoparticulates, which are exactly what the climate engineering programs use. Now, let me connect this to a couple other dots. Magnetite is a very abundant element in coal fly ash, what we believe to be a base material that's being used for these programs. It accomplishes two things for those in power. It gets rid of a pollutant, gives them plausible denial when tests show the same chemical signature as coal fly ash. They can just blame it on coal pollution plants, but or pollution from coal-fired power plants. But this material seems to have the same signature, and the coal fly ash varies from deposit to deposit, so it depends on what particular region the coal fly ash comes from. The chemical signature can vary slightly, but the precipitation samples match the chemical signature of coal fly ash, and now we have a study from The Guardian, again, admitting that magnetite is showing up in unimaginable quantities in human brain, which is linked to an endless list of human ailments.
Well, I found the article you're talking about. I searched The Guardian, but the article came up in pressreader.com, and it says air pollution detected in brains linked to Alzheimer's, larger spherical particles that dominated the samples in this new study. We're talking about the same thing, right?
We are. And, and again, what people don't realize is these particles are so small when they enter through the olfactory route through nasal inhalation, and there's no blood-brain barrier then. And they're not even testing for aluminum, which who knows how much aluminum.
You know what?
In the same
I
sample.
think a lot of people might not know what the blood-brain barrier is. Could you maybe elaborate on that a moment?
The blood-brain barrier is the body's system to try to keep certain toxins out of the brain. It's a protection mechanism for the brain. But when you're talking about nanoparticles that are inhaled to the olfactory system through the nasal passages, that barrier is bypassed. So you have a way for these particles to infiltrate directly into the brain. And again, we see everything we would expect to see from the kind of fallout that we know is coming down through the breathable air column. We're not guessing, we're not speculating, we're not hypothesizing. We know it's there. We know they're spraying. We have the film footage of it. We have the lab tests to prove it. We have mountains of data. So all these articles, like the one on the market mogul, never, ever mention, oh yeah, whatever they spray up there will come down through the air column and we'll all inhale it. As if we shouldn't be able, we should all be able to figure that out, bottom line. So the reason climate engineering should be the top issue for all of us is because, one, it's destroying Earth's life support systems, the climate, the ozone layer, and two, it's killing us, quite literally.
Now, on the Market Mogul site, it says, what can be done? A change in policy is needed now more than ever, a shift away from the model of extractivism. Can you tell me what that means?
Now, I'm looking for what particular part of the article. I might be looking at a different version of the article.
I scroll down from the top. It says engineering the earth or how to fight global warming. Are we on the same article?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there a sub-headline?
Admitting there is a problem followed by what can be done.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Okay.
A change in policy is needed more than ever, a shift away from the model of extractivism, which is dependent on the large-scale removal or extraction and export. So go ahead. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, again, it comes down to the same point, though. The extractivism, meaning the looting, pillaging, plundering of the planet. And somehow what people want to hear is that there's some magic way that we can continue the current paradigm with some magic solution, and that simply doesn't exist. And this is a reality that we have to face. We absolutely have to face that the current paradigm was never sustainable, and even what people perceive, Dwayne, as, quote, renewable energy, that's really not reality in the sense that it's sold. And when you take some of the materials used in production of solar panels, for example, and I am off-grid, I have wind, solar, and hydropower where I live. Of course, the hydropower doesn't work because the geoengineers have cut off our rain and the streams aren't flowing. But
so you're completely living off the grid?
I'm totally off the grid. Have been for 15 years.
Wow. Wow.
But here's a paradox. First, with renewable energy, it takes a tremendous amount of resources to make renewable energy components, and you have chemicals used in that production which are extremely harmful to the environment as well. Hexafluoroethane, for example, in the production of solar panels is about 17,000 times more potent to greenhouse gas than CO2. You have, obviously, it takes resources to make 450-foot high wind turbine towers and so forth. So there's a lot of materials used there. So renewable energy is an energy extender. It's not renewable in the sense that people like to think of it, because people think we can just burn up all the hydrocarbon and then magically switch to renewable energy, and it's not reality. But also consider this. At the time when renewables make the most sense, and they certainly make more sense than other alternatives, we have geoengineering happening, which reduces wind, sun, and rain. All three of the major components for renewable energy. How much sense does that make? And that's a scientific fact. Reduces all three. Sun, wind, and rain. And when I say reduce, I mean that's what got me onto this issue to begin with. If your listeners haven't heard that story yet.
I was in the library this morning, and I happened to click on a link and ended up watching a video that talked about the coming end of time, apocalyptic, whatever, that it won't be between us and Russia. Putin's a big shot over there, and he's got too much to lose, and they can't stand up against our military might. But the people who have nothing to lose are the guys like ISIS, okay? I mean, their glory comes in dying for their cause. So this, I couldn't watch the whole video because it was just too lengthy. And the guy was doing a terrible job of reading the copy. And I know because I read a lot of copy and I know when I've screwed up. So anyway, I do want to listen to the rest of what he had to say, but he said the attack will come from boots already on the ground in America that will attack our power grid. Because they say if you take out a nation's power grid, you can quickly take over that nation if you have people in place ready to move at the right time. So I'm only even bringing that up because you're telling me that you have lived completely off the grid for 15 years. That's absolutely amazing. And what do you think about that theory that would, as opposed to a dirty bomb or anything else, just all of a sudden, no cars will start. Now, this could be done with a magnetic, what do they call that, an electromagnetic pulse?
EMP attack.
Yeah, EMP attack. Do you think that's feasible? Do you think that's a possibility?
First, I think that type of theory implies that our government is benevolent and here for our own good, and someone else is going to try to take that over. And I would stop right there, because our own government is behind so much of what's happening right now, from 9/11 to, which we discussed last week, to the aerosol operations. So when people think that our country has a government, we have a government that owns a country. That's the more correct scenario that we face. So I would argue, you know, when media tries to paint these outside threats that are threatening our government that's here for our own benefit or our own protection, right there is where the delusion needs to be shattered. It needs to be shattered. And people like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump are simply puppets at the end of strings for those behind the curtain, which are the central bankers. And as far as an EMP attack goes, when we have geoengineering being done by our own government, which is destroying the Earth's natural protections from a CME, a coronal mass ejection, a massive solar flare, like the Carrington event in the 1800s. Now that our natural protection has been decimated by climate engineering, if we have a massive CME, grids will shut down all over the world. And if those grids shut down, nuclear plants can't cool themselves, and we'll have Fukushima times 100 or 200. That's the end of the road also. So I would argue again, for those who still are living under the delusion that our government is here and our military is here for our own protection, it's simply not reality. And I'm not, the people in the military, I'm not saying that they didn't sign up out of good motives. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, my godson, he flies for the Air Force, and this young man is so full of good intention, and he wants to protect the world and make it a better place. Now, is he being used by dark powers? Yeah, possibly, probably, I can't say, but I just know that him personally, he would, before he would knowingly harm someone, he would lay down his commission and say, put me in the brig. He's made of that much of the right stuff. So
we need more like him. We need more like him, because the fact is that the good intentions aren't enough now. That those in the military need to, instead of keeping their head down and just following orders, they need to take a look around and figure out what they're being used for. And they're simply being used for mercenaries, for those in power who don't care at all for the greater good, the common good. They care about one thing: increasing their power, period. And when we look at, for example, the kind of impression that Americans are under, that we've been told Iran is a major threat to America, right? We've been fed that over and over. Well, we were fed the same thing about Saddam. Now, what triggered that was Saddam. Saddam wanted to disconnect from the dollar. The dollar is the global reserve currency, and the petrodollar is the dollars used for oil trading. And he wanted to disconnect his other currency. Immediately, he had to be taken out. Same with Gaddafi. Same with Iran. So when we're told Iran suddenly is a threat to
well, what about
the U.S.?
What about China? Supposedly they're on the verge of announcing that they've amassed enough gold and devalued the yuan far enough that they are going to have the only currency in the world that is actually backed by something, and that something is gold. They're going to prove to the world that they have the gold reserves and that the yuan could be the world's reserve currency. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I think they're heading that way, and I think, again, a lot of countries have just had enough of the out-of-control nature of the way the U.S. has behaved. And to give an example of that, I just wanted to give one statistical example in regard to Iran. In the last 230 years, Iran has invaded exactly no one, zero. In the same time period, the U.S. has invaded and or occupied 70 countries, has boots on the ground in 156 countries, and 50 of those countries of invasion or occupation were in the last 50 years. So who's the aggressor? Who is the aggressor? And is this really about freedom and democracy? And let's look at Iraq. I mean, Iraq has been blown to bits, literally. And you talk to people from Iraq, and I have, and they, as bad as Saddam was, they would love to have that situation back again. And
I don't know. I think some of the Kurds might disagree with you.
Some of the Kurds might, but others would. And I'm not saying Saddam's a good guy at all. But why do we support him when we did. We gave him chemical weapons that he used on the Kurds, and we gave those to him. We supported him. Donald Rumsfeld shaking hands with Saddam. You've probably seen the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with Gaddafi. Gaddafi's, now that's a whole other situation completely. I mean, his population, he did an immense amount for his population, but he was totally against AFRICOM, the U.S. occupation of Africa, and thus he was taken down. So along with the currency issue I mentioned. So for Americans and U.S. soldiers to think that they're signing up to, as these simplistic commercials show, that, and this is exactly the verbiage stated on some of the commercials, the U.S. Navy, a global force for good. Just a very simple, we're good, they're bad. And that kind of mentality that Americans have is simply not rational in today's world when they don't want to learn about what's really going on, what's really being done in their name. And if we are truly patriotic, don't we have a responsibility to find out what the truth is?
Absolutely. See, I think that's where so many people get blinded. You know, where does patriotism end and tyranny begin? We have to look back to our founding fathers, and I mean, they certainly went against the grain in what they did in creating the United States of America. Go ahead.
Well, they did, even on that example. If people, you know, and I know I'm not saying things that are popular with many people, but I've had to look at this myself to face the truth myself. But if we take George Washington, for example, and what did the Native Americans call him? They had a name for George Washington that was translated as the sacker of villages. I mean, he destroyed something like 23 villages. And, you know, there's a lot of other issues there too. So I'm just saying we shouldn't look through a colored lens. You know, we need to look through a clear lens, and history is written by the victor. We all know that, right? History is written by the victor, period. So when it comes to, quote, patriotism, let's start with the fact that without question, our own government is spraying us with massively toxic chemicals in the air, the atmosphere, with the climate engineering programs. We know that. Now let's take another more recent, close-to-home example, the Zika virus. That's basically spraying of organophosphates. That's biological warfare. You saw the bees that it just killed, didn't you? Did you see those headlines?
No, I missed that.
Killed, where they're spraying Zika virus, killed millions of bees on the spot instantly. And organophosphates, there's a full report that we're going to publish from last year that the
U.S. beekeepers fear for livelihoods as anti-Zika toxin kills 2.5 million bees.
There you go.
Now,
that's only what they know of.
Who's the guy that said once the bees disappear, humanity can only survive for 4 years? Was it Einstein?
Einstein.
Einstein said that.
Einstein, yeah.
Okay.
So if we look at organophosphates, which are what's being sprayed, they are immensely toxic to the human organism, causing too long a list of ailments to even begin to go into. And this is being sprayed on populations right now under the excuse of mitigating the Zika virus, which it looks like may be more related to the spraying that's supposedly being done to mitigate it. I mean, there is so much going on that the American public seems unwilling to face the truth, no matter how bad it gets.
See, now I had not heard of this, and I try to stay on top of the news. Earlier this week, South Carolina beekeepers found millions of dead honeybees carpeting their apiaries, killed by an insecticide. Now, huddling around their hives, beekeepers around the southeastern U.S. fear a new threat to their livelihood. A fine mist beaded with neurotoxin sprayed from the sky by officials at war with mosquitoes that carry the Zika virus. And then there's a video, and guys, this will all be in the show notes today. This is what's left of Flowertown bees, a despondent beekeeper says in the video. Company co-owner told the Associated Press her farm looked like it's been nuked, and estimated that 2.5 million bees were killed. In another Facebook post, South Carolina hobbyist wrote that he had lost thousands upon thousands of bees and that the spraying had devastated his business. Have we lost our mind, he wrote, spraying poison from the sky? Around the U.S., bees and other pollinators contribute an estimated $29 billion to farm income. Clemson's University Department of Pesticide Regulation is investigating the incident. The program head said that South Carolina has strict rules about protecting pollinators. County officials were using the neurotoxin NALED under a clause exempting them in a clear and public health crisis. Go ahead.
Well, again, to add to that, if you search bees bees/aluminum. Just search bees aluminum, and you'll find peer-reviewed study that the bees are dying from symptoms resembling Alzheimer's and dementia because they have levels of aluminum now in them so high, they're 70 times higher than what it takes to cause those symptoms in a human. And we knew this the whole time. Again, aluminum being a primary element in climate engineering patents, because the bees were dying. They try to blame it only on the farm chemicals like glyphosate, but the bees were dying 1,000 miles into the wilderness, and we knew it was related to climate engineering, which is blanketing the entire planet. So now, where are the reports that the bees are being killed by aluminum? You don't see that anymore because every country is trying to mask this because they're all involved in climate engineering one way or another. The major powers are involved in the actual deployment of these programs. Satellite countries are simply made to conform. So we can add that to this equation as well, in addition to the type of spraying that we just went over with the organophosphates. And in regard to the Zika spraying and how toxic it is for the human organism, again, this is from a study from the Norwegian Drug Control and Drug Discovery Institute. And from the report, this is a long report regarding organophosphates, which is what they're spraying for the Zika virus, and this is from the report. Organophosphate substances, endocrine disruptors, neurodestructive agents. How good don't people understand how toxic this is? I mean, how good could it be for us if it's killing the insects, literally?
Right.
Why don't people wake up? I mean, what will it take?
A new scientific study has found very high amounts of aluminum contamination in bees, raising the question of whether aluminum-induced cognitive dysfunction is playing a role in the decline of bumblebee populations.
When they ask that question, Dwayne, that's like saying, someone jumped off a 100-story building and scientists are trying to discover if that's what killed them. I mean, literally, that's what we have.
I mean, this is serious. It's probably not a laughing matter, but yeah, your example was rather funny. Let's test this gravity theory. Well, that's what happens. Now, I'm getting my article. I did exactly as you said, and the first link took me to a site called ScienceDaily.com, your source for the latest research news. And so this is the scientific community. The source is Kiel University. And they say very high amounts of aluminum contamination have been found in bees, raising the question of what I just read.
Now you can try this one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I
was going to say aluminum is Earth's most ubiquitous ecotoxicant and is already known to be responsible for the death of fish in acid lakes, forest decline in acidified and nutrient-impoverished catchments, and low crop productivity on acid sulfate soils. So where's all this aluminum coming from?
Here's the catch. This is where people need to understand the facts with the situation. Although aluminum is very abundant in the environment, it's 8% of the Earth's strata on the surface, it does not exist in the environment in free form naturally. It is always bonded to other elements. So for it to be bioavailable in the environment, it has to be mined, refined, and distributed. That's exactly what we have with the geoengineering spraying. Aluminum is the primary element named in geoengineering patents. The stated goal by the world's most recognized geoengineers is to put 20 million tons of aluminum nanoparticulates in the atmosphere annually. 20 million tons. That's an inconceivable amount. So when you have also, and here's the paradox, as they load the soils with aluminum, and the soils are loading, we know that from pH changes in Northern California. Now, as the rain becomes ever more acidic, even though that aluminum could conceivably rebond to other elements as it enters the soil and diffuse the danger to some degree, but it can't because as the rain becomes more acidic, and it is because of the carbon loading in the atmosphere, once the pH drops below 5.5, the aluminum becomes bioavailable again. Rain pH right now is about 5.6 and dropping rapidly. So we're creating a situation that we can't get out of, that we can't fix, in addition to the damaging of the ozone layer. And again, as I isolated last week, that alone could end all terrestrial life on Earth very soon if that continues. So when we add all this to it, it's nothing less than an all-out assault on the web of life and humanity, the climate engineering spraying. And if those in power are as psychotic as we know that they are, at what point, if the population really begins to wake up and they want to level the playing field, at what point would they put something else in that mix, Dwayne? They're already spraying all over the globe. We know that under the solar radiation management programs. At what point would they just make it biological warfare, which it is already because the elements are toxic? But if something is added to that mix, they could level the playing field anytime they want, couldn't they?
Yeah. One of our guests in the audience asks, what state in the country does the guest speaker reside off the grid, and what kind of expense does it take to duplicate that lifestyle?
I live in the wilderness of Northern California, and the expense is based on the size of system that you have. And you can, one of the most sizable components is batteries. And again, this is where renewable power is not the environmentally friendly scenario that it's been sold to us as. And
so the Tesla Gigafactory batteries, the batteries in your house where it catches, you're saying that's not the answer?
Well, not for the long run. I mean, again,
okay.
People have been trained to think that we can all just switch to renewable energy and carry on as we have, and that's not reality. In fact, you could shut everything off, all forms of human activity. You could shut it off today,
mm-hmm.
and the inertia is so great already that we are headed for a completely different reality, a paradigm shift of unimaginable proportions. So I would argue again that the single greatest leap we could take in the right direction, because I don't want to leave people with in a state of we're doomed and there's nothing we can do. The single greatest leap we could take in the right direction is to expose the climate engineering insanity. That would catalyze people all over the globe that their governments not only consider them expendable, but in fact a liability at this point. And if we could expose these programs and people truly understood how far off the rails the train is, and our military, most importantly our military brothers and sisters, exactly like the godson you described, if they're woken up to what's really going on, we have a chance. And we need to wake them up as fast as possible.
Well, Dane, thank you once again for enlightening us. I want to encourage everybody to visit Dane at geoengineeringwatch.org. I'm putting the link into the chat box right now for each and every one of you. Dane, at your site, is there any type of newsletter or email that people can subscribe to?
Absolutely. They can sign up for our mail outs and they'll get every new post we put up.
Let me show them I'm on your home page. Where would they find that?
Let me go there.
Oh, I see it. I see it. It's on the left-hand side, about halfway down. Email newsletter. Sign up for our email newsletter. Your information is never shared. So here you go, guys. Put in your name, put in your email address. And, I mean, there's so much information on this site, it would keep you busy quite a while.
Also know that we don't mail out loads of material. We only, every few days, mail out the most pertinent, updated post. That's all. So it's not a landslide of data at all. It's only the most dire posts that go through that.
And right below that newsletter, you can follow on Twitter at RealGeoENGWatch. I will see if I can copy that link address and put that in the chat box as well.
Thank you, Dwayne. I know I feel like the Grim Reaper whenever I come with this sort of data, but quite simply, the best chance we have is if we face facts head on, and if we can, as cumulatively, if we can wake up our military brothers and sisters to exactly what's going on, that's the only way forward, because we have no chance without them. We need them on our side, and I know we have great men and women in the military that simply don't realize what's going on. We need to change that.
Guys, if you've not seen the exclusive Chuck Norris interview where, the Chuck Norris warns of grave risks of climate intervention, you will find it on the page that I'm on right now. It will be in tonight's show notes once again, but I'm also putting it in the chat box because I think it's very important, because if you can't believe Chuck, man, who can you believe? Am I right?
Chuck's the real deal.
He is.
Yeah,
He
so I
sure
agree.
is.
So,
Well,
so I
thank you so
appreciate
much for
your
dropping
audience
in
and
today. Yeah. And a guy,
thank
and
you
his
guys.
Facebook page is right there, his YouTube page. Subscribe. Go to the Facebook page and like the page. Go to the YouTube page and become a subscriber. So anytime, wait, free geoengineering watch app. What's that all about? I don't have, download the free geoengineering watch app.
The app. The app you just get the that's for people with the the handheld devices, because it's much more friendly for that format. So that's a free app. So anybody with handheld devices, iPhones and so forth, the app is much more compatible, and they'll get our updates through that app as well. It's all free.
Okay.
And again, it's because you try to load the sites in the app without having the app program, it's a different format, and it makes it much more user-friendly.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, there's lots of stuff, lots of information. Dane, we appreciate you. We support you in all that you're doing, enlightening people, bringing this to the world's attention. And we look forward to seeing you next Monday.
Thanks, Dwayne.
All right. Have a great week. Bye-bye. All right, guys. All these links will be in tonight's show notes. If you don't know how to get to the show notes, let me show you. It's a piece of cake. You simply go to, now, I don't expect you to remember all of that, but you can remember this, emini.cfrn.net. Then it turns into gobbledygook that you can't remember, but it gets you to where you want to go. And so right here, because this is permanently pinned to the top of the page. Now, each one of the posts, you see these three little dots? You're only seeing part of the post. When you click the three little dots, it opens it up and you can see the entire post. Just like over here. Concierge Trade Alerts and Live Trading Room. You just click it and there you go. Now, here are some charts from the last couple days. And then here's radio shows. Here's last Thursday's show. Here's last Friday's show in its entirety. We have recaps of radio shows going back years. We began podcasting in 2005 when most people had no idea what a podcast even was. We were a radio station that recorded live to tape. And then I figured out how to take that recording and turn it into a digital MP3 file and spin it up to the cloud to Apple, no less, iTunes. If you go into the podcasts in iTunes and type in Emini, we come up number one. Subscribe to our feed. Now, I'm going to be honest, I put a lot more stuff here than I do on iTunes. But I would appreciate you subscribing to iTunes. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/CFRN. Anytime I put up a new video, a Q&A session, whatever it might be, you'll get an email notifying you. And our Facebook page, it's a little hard to remember, but I'll put that in the night show notes as well. It's facebook.com/Emini Futures live trading. Yeah, that's a mouthful, huh? But you go there once and you bookmark it, boom, and then you don't have to worry about it again. Now we're going to pick up where we left off, okay? We were in the midst of our good word for the day, and that's where we're headed back to. What are we talking about? We're talking about Get back, Jack. Okay. Your personalized roadmap. The scripture, who works out everything in conformity with his will. In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. Imagine living a life where you did not know the purpose that you were created for. Man, that's scary. Now, I spent a lot of the years of my life lost, but I found my roadmap. I found my purpose. I found my passion. It wasn't any of the things that I thought it was from 17 to 27. I'm sorry, 17 to 37. No. See, in every bar, in every back alley, in every place I ever set foot that I should never have been, I was looking for God. Wait a minute. What kind of an idiot goes to a bar looking for God? Well, every idiot that's in the bar right now. I'm not saying you're an idiot because you go to a bar. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to a bar. If it's 9 a.m. or better yet 7 a.m. and you're at the front door of the bar waiting for them to open, yeah, maybe there's a little problem. You say, but I work the graveyard shift. Okay. A highball for breakfast, probably not the breakfast of champions, but whatever. What I'm saying is that as people in their life go through their problems, whether it becomes alcohol or some type of drugs, or maybe it's sexual addiction, it can be so many different things, when really what a man is searching for is his purpose, his passion. And the way to find your personalized roadmap is to have a personal relationship with your Creator. Terry Nance says, you may know your ultimate destination, but need guidance on how to get there. First and foremost, God's Word is a lamp for your feet and a light for your path. Psalm 119, verse 105. He sees the big picture. You and I can see about 2 feet in front of our nose, but God can see around the corner. He can see over the hill. He knows what's coming up next. We would do well to spend time with Him so that He can prepare our hearts and our minds for that which is about to happen. Not saying He's going to make you a psychic or a prophet, but if you'll let Him mold you and shape you, He's the potter, you're the clay, then whatever happens tomorrow or 2 hours from now, you'll be prepared for. He not only sees the big picture, the shortcuts, He sees the pitfalls. Don't look for external guidance. See, we're always looking out there for the answers to all of our problems, when in fact, the Holy Spirit, who, when Jesus left, He says, I got to go so I can send the Holy Spirit back to you. He'll be your comforter, your counselor. He'll guide you and direct you in all ways of righteousness. The Holy Spirit lives inside of you, and it's from within that you'll get the inside track. You know, and this is an example just ripped from the page of my life, and it's not a big one. It's just, you'll think it's silly, but next time it happens to you, I want you to remember this conversation that you and I had. We were looking for a set of keys. We have way too many sets of keys in this house. And so I went to the car and I looking under the seat, I looked behind the seat, I looked in the little door wells. I mean, I looked at all the places where they might have been left. Shut the door, locked it up, started back to, I was heading back to the kitchen because we have this neat little hook right by our front door. It's one of the products that my wife reviewed, and then she got to keep the product. It doesn't have a hook to hang your keys on. It's got like these 4 magnets, and each one of the magnets will hold 3 pounds. And so when you come home, you just stick your key ring up there and it just holds them. It's really a neat little device. Now some people are saying, well, wouldn't a hook work? Yeah, it would. But somebody chose to do it magnetically, and so it's cool. Anyway, before I get lost here, I was on the way back to the kitchen because the kitchen often swallows up keys. And I got halfway to the door, and this little voice in my head said, "You didn't look in the glove box." And I thought to myself, they wouldn't be in the glove box. We never open the glove box. We have this thing about keeping the glove box free and empty with only, the important stuff in there like registration, insurance card, owner's manual, the stuff that when you do, get pulled over, unfortunately, from time to time. And you know how it is to open the glove box and all this garbage comes spilling out. So while some people strive for inbox 0, we strive for glove box 0. All right, so I said no, because we don't put stuff in there. But then I stopped in my tracks and I said, now if I know we don't normally put stuff in the glove box, who just said to me, you didn't look in the glove box? And as I shrugged it off, the little voice said, why don't you look in the glove box? And so aggravatedly, I go back, I unlock the vehicle, I open the glove box, and guess what I find? The keys in a place where they should not be, where we don't put things, but there they were. Son, did you put the keys in the glove box? No, Dad. Emily, did you? No, Dad. Honey, did you? No, honey. Nobody put them in the glove box, but there they were. So when I say that the Holy Spirit lives inside of you, you've got to tune into that frequency, okay? You've got to know the difference between your vain imagination. I have to know the difference between my own vain imagination and the voice of the Spirit, the one that has been sent to guide me and direct me. Now, if that being, if that part of the triune Godhead can help me do something as simple as find my keys, imagine if I would just listen a little more often and a little closer and really start to have a relationship. Well, see, I've been doing that and working on that for years, and I'm going to tell you, you don't want to live without it. If you don't believe that you've had an infilling of the Holy Spirit, if you don't believe that the Holy Spirit dwells within you, then I dare say you need to start praying and asking God to fill you with the Holy Spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit is not going to hang out in a place that is not ready for the Holy Spirit. Do you follow me? Now, he'll come and he'll try to help you make the vessel ready, and then he will occupy. The scripture says that our body is a temple where the Holy Spirit dwells. You need to take care of, sweep up, clean out that temple, because you're inviting the Holy Spirit to come and dwell inside of you. Your thoughts, your words, your actions. You might think sometimes, well, nobody's watching. Oh, there's always somebody watching. And integrity is what you do when you think nobody's watching. But the Holy Spirit's always watching. Now, not trying to freak you out, not trying to scare you. I'm trying to help you here. Meditate on these scriptures and make them personal prayers. Ephesians 2:10. God has made us what we are, to do good works which he planned in advance for us to live our lives doing. What a wonderful way to wake up saying, oh God, how can I help you today? What have you planned for me this day? God, how can I serve you today? What's your purpose for me today? Instead of I want, I need, help me, turn that thing around. Because if you'll focus your energy on fulfilling God's will for your life, man, he'll just sneak up behind you and take care of any kind of little problems and issues you got. And you'll wonder, how'd that happen? It's almost as if somebody has your back. Somebody does. Psalm 37:23. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Psalm 18:36. You clear the way for me so I won't stumble. Proverbs 3:6. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Wouldn't it be nice? Because every day we're confronted with choices. We gotta go to the left or we gotta go to the right. Wouldn't it be nice to have someone that you don't gotta call on the phone or go knock on their door or wait for them to show up in their office, but someone living inside of you that if you'll just take a moment and dwell on it, you'll have your answer. You shouldn't go to the left or the right. You should turn around and go the other way. Okay, I hadn't thought about that. Sure glad I got you riding with me. Proverbs 3:6. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. And last, Isaiah 30:21. Behind you, a voice will say, this is the way you should go, whether to the right or the left. The end of his life, Paul could say, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. You could read that in 2 Timothy 4:7. Notice that sometimes Paul had to fight to stay on course. But by God's grace, he made it because he was filled with the Holy Spirit. And if you're filled with the Holy Spirit, just like Paul, you may have to fight sometimes, but you'll make it too. And that's our good word for the day. All right, let us take a look. Let us take a look at the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. As you can see, the S&P 500, we had put out an alert at 7:45 p.m. to buy the S&P at 2180, or given the opportunity to sell it at 2174. Okay. Now, these are last week's weekly trading zones. Our partners, because Monday was a holiday, our partners got this week's weekly trading zones this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. But look at the carryover effect of last week's zones. Okay? Still hanging in there. All right? Come Thursday, I will reveal to all members of the community this week's weekly trading zones. So you'll have at least a day and a half to try to get some use out of them. Become a partner and you'll have them every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On this first run up, if you bought 2180, this swing high was 82.75. So there was 2 3/4 points available per contract. Okay? Over here, the swing high, 2183.50. So that's 3.5 points available per contract. What about the sell side? That wasn't so pretty. Sell 2174. Now, those of you who attend this afternoon's webinar, because you're on the Concierge Trade Alert free trial, and it is by invitation only. Only those on the trial will receive an invitation. The webinar itself will be at 5 p.m. Eastern. This is not a trade that you would have taken. The swing low was 73. So, I mean, there was actually a point in the trade. However, because of the dynamics of the market, at the time this triggered, you would not have taken that trade, not if you've been trained by me. Once you become a Concierge Trade Alert client, I will train you individually, one-on-one, in a private go-to meeting. Okay? So you'll know when to hold them, you'll know when to fold them, you'll know when to get up and walk away. All right, let's move on. Talking about the Dow. Dow. I'm looking for my little, these are last week's zones. I guess I gotta type it again. Okay, so I'll do it. These are last week's zones. Hey, but they're still doing a pretty good job this week, considering the market hasn't moved very far. Now, summer is officially, well, I don't think on the calendar, I don't think we've had the last day of summer on the calendar. But as far as Labor Day marking the end of summer, Chris Rock wrote a song about summer. I can't get that song out of my head, where he's standing in the back of a pickup truck. But anyway, all the big shots from the Hamptons, they've headed back to their homes in the burbs, but they've also headed to their offices down on Wall Street. Kids are back in school, private school, and so now it's time for the movers and shakers to start carving out what will be a very interesting fourth quarter for the year 2016. We've got so much happening. We have the shift in power, okay? We're having a presidential election where we're going to elect the most hated president in American history, no matter who wins. And then there's going to be, from November when we elect the new president, they won't have any real power until the inauguration in January. But the lame duck president, the one that's heading out the door, unless he declares martial law at the last minute, he is going to have a ball. Writing checks left and right, executive orders by the boatload, presidential pardons, anything that will curry favors in the future. Because trust me, him and Michelle are going to live mighty high on the hog from now till God calls them home. Or wherever he's going to call them to. I don't pretend to know. Oh, did you see what they did to Trump? I think it was Saturday. He was in front of a black congregation at a church. And as, you know, the liberal media was there, and I'm assuming they were expecting a lot of rants and raves and people screaming, you know, down with Trump and all this kind of garbage. They picked the wrong church. All of the people were applauding him, laying gifts at his feet, stacking presents up on the altar. The preacher of the church placed a prayer shawl around his shoulders and handed him a very special Bible, an old Jewish, I don't really know what the name of the Bible was, but it was a very special gift. Interestingly enough, during this entire period where the gift giving was happening and the shawl was being placed and the Jewish Bible was being given, the liberal media cameras went dark. Well, of course, they couldn't stay off the air forever, so they finally had to turn them back on. And Trump made his speech, and he was well received. Now, we know that the minorities are one of the toughest places for Trump right now. He's got a few debates between now and November to fix that. He's got to stump like he's never stumped before. He's got to hit the road. He needs to preach or not preach. He needs to speak in every black, Latino, Catholic church that will let him in their doors. And he needs to let them understand that he actually has their best interest at heart. Hillary Clinton does not. The Ku Klux Klan was started by the Democratic Party. It's a historical fact. It's not some conspiracy theory. It's history. If you don't understand it, if you don't believe it, Google it. I know, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true, but you dig deep enough and you'll find some truth that just might shock the daylights out of you. Okay? I'm just saying. Don't believe me. Drag it out into the light of day. Find out for yourself. Find out for yourself. That way you really know. That way, if you do vote in November for Hillary Clinton, you will understand that you are sealing the fate of this nation, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. You are, with your mark or punch or lever pulling or however they do it where you vote, you are saying, I agree, America needs to be destroyed. That's what you're doing. And your neighbor. And anyone else who votes for that criminal, that liar, that thief, that traitor, that woman who allowed American soldiers to die for no reason in Benghazi, the one who was instrumental in putting together this nuclear deal. I know Obama and Kerry get all the credit. Do a little digging. Hillary pulled a few strings. Not only did they get nuclear capabilities, we gave them a little walking around cash. Billions. But I digress. I thought we were talking about the Dow, Dwayne. Oh, that's right. Keep me on track. All right, let's get through this thing. Okay. Okay, the alert went out at 7:45, and so that's 19:45, so we've got to drop our line at 2000 hours. 2000, right there, that little doji. Okay. See, that gives you 15 minutes to run down to the inbox for your email and get your trade alerts so you'll be ready when it's time to pull the trigger. All right, here's what we said to do on the Dow. Be a buyer at 495 and a seller at 460. A buyer at 495. Would it? Could it? Well, since 495 is right here, the answer is yes. So we got line upon line, so I'm just going to write buy 18,495. Okay. So we all understand that. All right, on the first run up, we got to 511. Okay, so that would be 16 points available. You need 20 though. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So up we come again, and this time we make it to 509. So that's going to be 14. Yeah, 14. What? 14. Now here's what I'll do. Once I put points available per contract, it would be redundant to just keep doing that over and over. And then we rate it all the way up to 45, so that's going to be 50. How many do you need? 20. That's the correct answer. 17 and 5 is 22. Okay. Now what was the sell side? 460. If you could sell 460, take a stab at it. Come on. 460. Still off by 1. Aha. So 18,460. Okay. Okay. So the first drop took us down, or the only drop, took us down to 437. So that would be 23. So would that give you your points for the day? Yeah, it would. Now, let me tell you a little something. Okay. I wouldn't have took that trade, but I would have took this trade. Well, why? Well, I guess that's why you should come to that webinar this afternoon, and I'll try to break it down for you. Okay. Moving along, let's go to gold. Our old friend gold, smoking hot. All right, calm down, Dwayne. I know your friend who invested in physical silvers, very excited, but it's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about gold. Now this goes all the way back to Friday, September 2nd. This story was to buy 1320, and before the news came out, because we don't trade news, we made this trade made available $550 per contract. Okay, but then the big spike, we took no credit for that. We couldn't, because we always tell you to be flat ahead of the news. And we told you that there was going to be big news on Friday and that it would rock the markets, and it did. Now, let's get over to last night, 2000 hours, which is going to be the second candle after the green candle. Right there, 2000. Okay. Our Concierge Trade Alert said by 1333, or sell 28. Well, since 28 never happened, we were going to have to depend on 33. By 1333. Perfect. By 1333. Okay. Swing high, 57.20. So let's just call it 57. Oh, I'm going to have to use this calculator. That's okay. Okay. Did I say it? 1357. 1357 minus 1333 equals how's that possible? Oh, that's bad when you can't believe the calculator. Oh, I see. Okay, 1357. I'm going to get it right. Minus 1333. Okay, now that makes a little more sense. 24 points. Now this is where it gets real fun. Okay, from 33 to 43. Guess how much? Okay, let's try that again. From 33 to 43, guess how much that was worth? Go ahead. Guess. I won't judge you if you get it wrong. $1,000 per contract. $1,000 per contract available. There we go. Now, here's where it gets real interesting. After 43 comes 53. 1353. Guess what that means? Once I get it lined up. 1353. Oh, you rascal. $13.53. $2,000 per contract available. Is that a 2? Yeah. $2,000 per contract available. And then it ran another $400. So in total, $2,400 per contract available. Now, we never get out at the exact swing high or the exact swing low. We never buy the bottom. We never sell the top. Why? Because we believe in trailing our stop. When you're brand new and we're teaching you how to trade, we're going to instruct you to use a hard target, because we want you to become accustomed to reaching your daily goal consistently on a daily basis. In fact, you've got to reach your daily goal 10 days in a row before you can even go live. Now, some folks will just say some indicators, pat you on the back, shake your hand, and say, best of luck. And then you go out, deploy the indicators, blow up your account, and go, what just happened? Well, you put live money to work in a market, and you had no idea how to trade. So we do things a little differently. We actually teach you how to trade before you put live money to work in the markets. That's what our 90-day mentoring program is all about. If you've never taken our live trading room free trial and you would like to, or if you have not taken it in the last 6 months, go to apply. I'll put it up on the screen for you. Got too many P's there. apply.cfrn.net. And by the way, those who become Concierge Trade Alert clients, if you take the quarterly trial and you become, after the trial, you have a day to make a decision what you want to do. If you decide that you want to go ahead and become a quarterly client, you also reap the benefits of being a partner. But instead of it being a permanent thing, it's just on a quarterly basis. So you don't own the indicator set for life. You renew every 90 days. That's a quarter. Now, the best thing that a person can do is, number one, learn how to trade. Get in that 90-day mentoring program, okay? Once you understand how the market works, how to read a chart, once you kind of figure out what the heck's going on, that's when the Concierge Trade Alert can really become beneficial. Is that you, Bert? Bert, is that you? Okay, I guess not. It was somebody, but they're gone now. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't skip this and go straight to the Concierge Trade Alert. You can. I'm just saying, if you have this 90 days of mentoring under your belt and then become a client, or maybe you just don't have the time for a 90-day mentoring program, and maybe you already understand enough about the markets that if you and I spend a couple of mentoring sessions together, one-on-one, you'll be able to take the email that I send you like this. I mean, by 1333. If you understand the very basics of trading, then it was hard to mess that one up. I know they're not all that simple. None of them are easy, but that one was pretty simple. Now, if I were to lay the indicators down, okay, in order for us to get a sell signal on this 30-minute chart I'm using, we need the step line to get on the south side of the blue MA1. And it did a couple of times, but price never crossed over. See, it was sort of a parabolic move up. Price needs to cross over, and because it's a bullish trade, we actually need a red candle to close below the step line, and the step line has to be on the south side of the MA1. That may sound like a lot, it may sound confusing, but after a couple days you'll be able to, you'll just look at it and go, man. So am I saying that based upon the indicators you would actually still be in this trade? If you wanted to be. But we have a rule of thumb here that's pretty important. Anytime you make $1,000 in one instrument in one day, the best thing you can do is take your money and walk away. Well, yeah, but if I'd have done that here, I'd have left $1,000 on the table, or $1,400. Yep. But you see, the rubber band only stretches so far. And for most of these markets, $1,000 is usually about as far as it stretches before it does a nice retracement. And then it might go another $1,000 leg. You could always re-enter the trade if conditions warrant. And I'll teach you how to do that too. So, what a beautiful day for gold. By 1333, and just sit back and let it fly. And never once are you worried or nervous or scared or concerned about whether or not you should have gotten out of this trade. You see, when you take the trial that cost $1, you also get to use the indicators. So you would have been able to lay them down just like that. And you would have that same confidence that as long as the step line is on the north side of the MA1 and price is on the north side of the MA1, there's no reason to even consider being short. Are you with me? I hope so. Eliezer, where would my stop have been on that trade? Well, you need to set up a private mentoring session with me so I can show you exactly where it would go. Can you do that? Let me type into the chat box, because I'd love to spend some time with you, because you've been a great partner, and I really appreciate you. CFRN.net/emini-personal-mentoring. CFRN.net emini-personal-mentoring. Okay. Now, if you're not a partner and you just want to talk about becoming a partner and entering the mentoring program, I will meet with you. For someone like Eliezer, I don't want to just publicly give him sort of a generic kind of an answer. I want to show him exactly to the tick where the stop would go on this trade. Okay? And if you should become a partner and or a concierge client, I'll be happy to do the same for you. Okay? This is years of hard work poured into this, both myself and Michael, and we're building a community of strong traders. We got a special treat coming up It'll either be this week or next week. But if you've ever been to our testimonial page, there's a video there. A gentleman by the name of Alan, and a very heartfelt testimonial. Created a little video, which I appreciate. And he's been in the mission field for 2 years. So he's going to come either on the show, or we might even do just a separate one-off show where we simply focus on what he has been through and what he has encountered over the last couple of years. He's a great guy, great American, and his mission field was Cameroon. So Google that up and figure out where he's been. I've just got to get together with him. He's already gone out and bought his little headset, so I told him, I said, don't spend big money on a headset, because the $20 one at Kmart or Walmart, that will work just fine. You can spend $50 or $100 or $150 on these fancy headsets that are built for gaming, and they got a heavy bass and all this kind. You don't need that. 20, at the most $30. I mean, Office Depot, Staples, Target, Kmart. If they've got an electronics aisle, you'll find a headset. It can be the kind with 2 little plugs, the green and the pink, or it can be the kind that plugs into a USB port. Either one's fine. And you too can sound like a rock star. All right? Let's move along and get after those bonds. Now, I was informed today that I needed to switch out the bonds because I'm in the wrong month. So, hang on and let me confer with one of my associates here for a second. Stand by. Still conferring. Okay. Now, let me see if there was enough volume today to even give any validity to this trade. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I should have, thanks Ken, Ken read my mind. I should have switched out of bonds. When I saw this splotchy behavior, my thought was, well, it's because it's the holiday. But it was more than a holiday. Now, right here, this was people beating feet to get out of those bonds, because that candle right there, that 30-minute candle had 900 contracts in it. Okay? So, I mean, was there some action today in the U contract? Yes. But we are rolling over as of tonight. When the alerts come out tonight, it will be ZBZ. We will be trading December bonds. And again, Ken, thank you. Now, whenever we roll bonds, that's a heads up to the fact that we're getting ready to also roll over all of the indices, like the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, the Euro. All of those will roll at the same time. Okay? But bonds roll a little bit earlier than the rest of them. If you're on the DT Pro platform, you can go to this little page, what I call the control panel. Go to help. Go to contract specs. Now, what that will do is it will open a window in your browser. Looks a little something like this. And if we were to go to the financials and find the 30-year bonds, should give us the rollover date here somewhere. I thought it would be on this page. Was it on the previous page? I think it was. Oh, that was my confidant buzzing me back. Thanks. You're a little late to the party. Okay. $30. HMUZ. Okay. Now, if you are on a platform that automatically rolls your contracts forward, then that's how you know, because you come in and your contract's been rolled. But if you're a DT Pro, you have to manually roll it. So, all right, I've given you more information than you asked for. I'm still going to show you what the trade alert was. Oh, you know, Don, that's a great idea, but I don't use a quote board. Let me ask you a question. Can I launch a quote board from here? Silver's up $4,000 today? What? Oh, my friend is going to be very happy. So what price is it trading at right now, Jim? You're not sure, Don? Okay. All right, here it says new quote board. This is not a feature I normally use. I hope I don't break my machine. Well, I said new quote board and nothing happened. All right, we're gonna leave it alone for now because we're burning daylight. Okay. All right, last night on the alert, which should have been for December bonds, but it wasn't. Let's close this down so we don't burn up too much. Oh, that's supposed to be on the supposed to be on this page. Yeah, because those are the show notes so far. Close that. Okay. Move this back over here. Pick this up. Bring this back into view. And on bonds, we had said in the September contract, which everyone else has moved on except us, by 171.11. Okay. So if you were a buyer at 171.11, you got to stop down. That's if you took the trade. The only reason I say if you took the trade is because you had to have a pretty healthy stop going on there. Bonds pay 31.25 per tick. So you know. Stop out slash possibly a walk away. I don't know. The second time up, that would have probably, even though the second time up was $1,000 trade, that would have also probably been a walk away. Unless you got, you know, incredible risk tolerance. I don't have that much risk tolerance. I'll just tell you, I don't. I need to be able to come back and trade another day. So ZBZ6, that will be tomorrow. And the sell side of the September contract never traded. So let me say it one more time. Roll over right now to ZBZ6. In fact, I'm going to wipe out all this historical information, but it's all been captured on video, so let's just wipe all that stuff out. See, I clicked here, select all. See how it lit everything up? Bang. Now, there's a couple ways you can roll forward. You can go view. No, that's not it. Maybe it's this view. Roll forward. And it takes you to ZBZ6. I could have accomplished the same thing by typing in ZBZ6. Now, it's not really intuitive. You would think that when you're supposed to like type something, a little box would open, but it doesn't. Okay, you just left click on the chart and start typing. And all of a sudden, then once you type that first letter, then we're already on it, but that's how you do it. Okay? Now, the reason I went ahead and did that right here, right now, is so somebody tonight don't forget to roll forward when he's scrambling to get the alerts out by 9 p.m. Eastern. Can you dig it? All right. I assume you can. ZBZ6. So tomorrow we'll be trading December bonds. Moving right along to the crude oil. Again, these are last week's zones. Okay. We did close the week last week below the lowest weekly trading zone. Let's see. September 2nd. Right there. The closing price last Friday was $44.20. So we were 40 cents below the lowest weekly trading zone. Does it happen? Yeah. Is it more likely to happen with a tangible commodity than the S&P? Yes, absolutely. The S&P, the S&P 500, the number of times that we've closed the week above the highest zone or below the lowest zone since December 14th of 2009 is very, very few. As we've done other markets over the years, it's just, I did zones for soybeans, I've done zones for the yen, I've done zones for several of the different markets we've traded, and they've always worked out pretty good. They've never been quite as accurate as they are on the S&P, but they certainly serve as a good backdrop to your trading. So anyway, these are last week's zones, and out of my own idle curiosity, this swing low that was put in today, 43.84. No, I can honestly say that's that's not a zone. Where are we right now? Are we at a zone right now? I can honestly say we are. At this price right here, we're inside a current weekly trading zone for crude. Now, is there another zone below? There is. So, anyway, I'll be able to tell you all about it come Thursday. And those of you who are partners, you already know because you've got your zones in front of you. Well, I can't take that phone call right now. I'm sure it's highly important, and I'm sure I'll be calling them back. Okay, snap back. Do crude oil. Might as well do it now. Crude. All right. Now, to the best of my knowledge, we're still, silver broke 20 bucks. My friend's wife's going to have a big smile on her face. 2022. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, Ken says, I always roll over as soon as the volume rolls to the next contract month. And so what he's saying is as soon as the next contract has more volume than the contract you're currently trading, that's when you know to roll. And typically we stay on top of it. And Michael may have announced it this morning in the live trading room. Even back on Friday, he may have mentioned it and I missed it. As you know, I wear a couple of hats here, and so sometimes I miss a thing or two. Thanks so much, Ken, for sharing that. And so that's what we'll do when it's time to roll the S&P, the Dow, the Russell. There will be what's called official rollover day, which I think is a Thursday. We typically don't roll until the following Friday morning. Okay. Now, I remember years back, it seemed like people were slower to roll, and the volume wouldn't actually take over until the following Monday. But the last couple of years, it's been you get rollover day on Thursday, and then we roll the very next day, Friday morning. So that's coming up, and we'll keep you posted. Okay. All right. Let's see what happened with crude. Let's go to 2000 hours. Right above the L. $20. Oh, and by the way, I did put out, I'm going to give them to you because I put them out. It's the only one that really had much movement over the holiday. On crude, I had said Sunday night at 7:45 p.m. to consider buying 44.25. 44.25. Okay. I'll show it to you, just so you know I'm not funning you. Globex is open tonight. This is what I wrote Sunday night. Globex is open tonight for the Tuesday session. It will trade until 1 p.m. Eastern on Monday and then close for 5 hours in observance of Labor Day. Globex will reopen Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern for the continuation of the Tuesday session, which we're still in until the markets close this afternoon. This is what is known as holiday trade. There will likely be very little participation. However, we're still publishing the numbers. The weekly trading zone normally received on Monday will arrive in your inbox at 6:15 a.m. Tuesday. That has always been the procedure at CFRN for Monday holidays. Below tonight's alerts, proceed with caution. Better yet, go spend some time with your family. They love you. Okay? So, buy 44.25. This will blow your hair back. From 44.25, we put in a high at 46.53. Swing high, 46.53. Okay. Now, I've already done that math somewhere, but I'm going to do it again. Clear 46.53 minus 44.24 equals $2.29. And so $2,290 per contract available on a holiday. Now keep in mind, other nations don't celebrate Labor Day. So when you're dealing with something like the S&P 500, maybe you don't see a lot of action. But something like crude oil, which the whole world trades, then it doesn't take an incredible amount of volume to push price a considerable distance on a day of low participation. So that's another fun fact to know and tell. $2,290 per contract available. Okay? Now that was Sunday night. All right, let's fast forward to Monday night, which was last night. And we've already planted our flag. Oh, what an, you know, 2 Sundays ago, we got left with this incredible cliffhanger for Fear the Walking Dead. And remember my theory? They were surrounded at this circular bar by all the zombies, and the only sensible solution, since they were at a bar, was to splash them down with alcohol, light a match and throw it, and get the heck out of there. They didn't even take us back this past Sunday to the cliffhanger they left us with. We're still hanging on that cliff. We don't know what happened and how they escaped, or if they escaped. I assume they did. But to make us wait 2 weeks to find out how that played out And if they don't show us how it played out, I might stomp my foot or something. I don't know. Those of you that don't watch the show are like, this guy is nuts. Well, he is, yeah. Certifiably so. Crude oil. How you want to play it? Buy 45.30? That didn't happen. Did it? Oh, I guess it did. Well, what do you know? Oh, and even that's an early bird trade. $45.30. Ooh, that's way down here. Okay, so if you bought 45.30, 1.5 hours after the alert went out, it triggered and ran up to 45.62. So buy 45.30. Okay. And then the swing high was 62. So that would be 32 ticks available per contract. Now, how many ticks do you need? 20. Because Crude pays $10 per tick. There you have it. It's my story. I'm sticking to it. Now, the sell side on Crude, 44.70. That happened right above last week's weekly trading zone. Right about there. Have you guys watched that new show? It's sort of like a Shark Tank, but for the outdoorsman. Hang on. Crude, sell 44.70. It's actually pretty neat. If you're an outdoorsman type. So, last night the guy was pitching this device. It allows you to go snorkeling without having to wear that heavy tank on your back. Basically, the tank floats up on the surface of the water, and it's just got this long hose that attaches to your mask, and you can go pretty deep with this thing, but you feel absolutely free. And then another one, remember the jet packs back in the 60s? We were going to have these jet packs on our back, and we were going to like shoot straight up in the air and like fly to the office and land, and you know, well, that never happened. Well, this guy's come out with this device that it's the same kind of philosophy or theory. There's a battery pack that goes on your back. There's these two little engines that strap to your arms. You hold the throttle in your hand, and you can go as slow as you want, as fast as you want, but however you point your arms in front of you, now you're underwater doing this, right? But it's like you're flying, but underwater. it was, now the cost was astronomical. I think retail is like 16 grand. And all the guys were like, man, that's too expensive. We're not going to invest in that, until they put the thing on and took a ride. I think one of the guys finally ended up giving him some cash. I don't remember. But so if you haven't seen that show, it's on CNBC at night. They've got quite a lineup. Now, I admit it's almost ridiculous how they play the same episodes over and over and over, but I see what they're doing. They're building out a body of shows, and until they get, you know, enough shows in their repertoire, then, and do I end up watching some of them twice while I'm, you know, for a second time while I'm sitting at my desk working on the alerts and stuff? Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Back to where we left off. Back to where I left off. Okay. Crude oil, sell 44.70. Sell 44.70. Yeah? Yeah. Swing low? 43.84. All right. Better take to the calculator. Clear. Cancel. 44.70 minus 43.84. That would be $860 per contract available. That's not bad. And it might be getting ready to do it again. We're above the trigger. So if it rolls over, it comes back down. Had a leg, a retrace, and a leg, and a retrace. Just may get another leg. So $320 on the long side, $860 short side, and then Sunday night, just a whopper of a move. Unexpected, came out of nowhere. That's the type of thing that you'll see on holidays, just when you least expect it. There he goes. Okay. So last night, got that wrong. Okay. Let's see. $2,000. Okay. I'm not even sure what that's doing there. That was September 5th. Oh, I guess that was last night. Because soybeans, we were looking to buy 9.57. No, that wasn't last night. I don't know. I'll just make it go away because I don't know what it was. Buy 9. 9:51. Was that Sunday night? No. No. I don't. That's some kind of aberration. The deal is to buy 9:57. Here, I'll show you. ZSX6 by 9:57, sell 9:46. All right, buy 9:57, swing high, 964. So that's $700 per contract available. No, that's not right. That's 7 points at $50 a point. That's $350. Per contract available. Soybeans pay $50 per point. There's 4 ticks to a point, $12.50 per tick. It's just like the S&P, except it's not. It's soybeans. Okay, so what was the sell side on this? 946. Did that happen? The swing low was 46.50, so we never triggered on the short side, just on the long side. From 957 up to 964. $7 points available. Oh, guys, I got to put you on hold 1 second. And so my apologies for putting you on hold, but that was a very important call. That call had to do with my new cell phone battery. Because I'm not out of my current iPhone 6 contract until next June. Of course, you know, they go, you can buy your way out for $300. And I'm like, and then I got to pay the upgrade fee to get the you know what? We'll see what this iPhone 7 is all cracked up to be. The one thing I've seen that's impressed me is that the new processor that's in it, man, that thing is smoking hot fast. So, in fact, I've got a desktop computer running at 1.4 gigahertz, and it's not a bad computer, but the processor in the iPhone 7 is going to run at 2.8 gigahertz. In the telephone, that's just unheard of. But anyway, I guess I won't enjoy that experience until next June. But there's a guy coming to my house today, a mobile service. So this guy is going to put a new battery in my phone. He's going to do it the right way, not the way I did it. It's going to cost me $60. Fair enough. And if it fails to work, 100% money back guarantee. How can you lose with that? So, but lesson number 1, don't ever open your iPhone. See, if I was aggravated because I had to charge up or top off at like 3 times a day. Well, okay, so top off 3 times a day. You use your phone a lot. Just deal with it. Oh no. I had to get under the hood. Not good. So I just hope the tech doesn't open the hood and go, oh man, not only did you buy a bad battery off the internet, but you like messed something up horribly inside this phone. So anyway, he's coming soon, so I gotta go. You can copy and paste anything you add to a chart, i.e. lines for buy and sell, price, buy and sell, etc. This will make your work go much faster. You can even take the copy to another chart. I use this method all the time. Let's see. Well, Ken, you're giving me all kind of good stuff here. At the top right of the chart, there are arrows to the left which bring up more options on the chart. You can keep a day separator on your charts. Yeah, I'm familiar with the day separator. By changing the 0 to 1 on the transparency. Mine are always set in advance. Yeah. Well, see, but mine's not a day separator. That line is when I mail out the Concierge Trade Alerts. And that time varies from day to day. I strive for 9 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes it's 8 p.m. Eastern, sometimes it's 10 p.m. Eastern. So those aren't day separators. That's the time that I sent out the actual Concierge Trade Alert. So thanks for your help on that one. Jim says silver has broken $20 an ounce 5 times in the last 36 years, yet it is still $20 an ounce. Thanks, Jim. My friend will be excited to know that. But thank you for sharing. Now, Kent, it's this next thing that I'm curious about. Like, I know that I can do this, and I could go Control-C, and then I can come over here, and I can do this, and I can go Control-V, and I can do that. But I get the impression that you're sharing something. I'm curious, what is it that I would move from chart to chart that would make my work go faster? Because I'm interested in what you have to say. The lines. Well, Well, I mean, by the time I copy and paste that line, I mean, oh, you're saying the amount of time it takes me to get it straight, I would already have a straight line? Yeah, I guess you got to, I guess you do have a point there. Well, okay. Well, I always appreciate, help. So let me do this. I'm going to light that baby up. I'm going to Control C it. And as we go to the next chart, I'm going to Control V it. Here we go, in queue. Okay, last night the alerts went out at 2000 hours. So that's the little candle with the tail. Right there, 2000. Okay. And I said on the NASDAQ to buy 4801. Buy 4801. So now I don't think I can just Control V. Nope. I gotta open this. No. I gotta open this. Gotta open that. Now I can Control V. It didn't carry over. I'm sure you're onto something there, Ken. I'll keep playing around with it and see what I can do to make it work. 4801. Where are you at? Right here. Thank you very much for your help. I do appreciate it. 4801. $48.01 $25. $48.01. What would be nice is if I could just go through and pre-mark up the charts before the show, but I have so much to do. There's a live trading room. I've got to get out the daily double. I've got to get out all 8 of the one trade a days. I mean, gosh, I just don't have quite enough time in the day. Now, if you were willing to risk, $7.94. Yeah, if you're willing, oh, heck yeah. $150 of risk would have given you this trade. Okay. So buy. You guys are going to be just blown away this afternoon in that webinar. Buy 4801. Buy 4801. Okay. So the first swing high. First swing high was 48.1875. So that's 17.75. 17.75 points available per contract. Now we know important prices and important areas are almost always tested. And so price gets back below the trigger and off we go again. And this time we get all the way up to 27.75. So that's 26.75. 26.75 points available per contract. And just so you know, 26.75 times 20 equals $535. $535 per contract available. We never get out at the exact swing high or the exact swing low because we always trail our stop. If you were to lay the indicators on this one, let's see what price the indicator told us to get out at. Oh, the indicator says you're still in the trade. Okay, fair enough. Now, the step line has crossed below the MA1. So if this candle were to close red below the step line, that would be your signal to exit the trade. Okay? Really quite simple. We'll be going over that this afternoon. Okay? Because while you're on the Concierge Trade Alert trial, you do have access to the indicators and the live trading room in the morning. Because if you're a Concierge Trade Alert client, you also have access to those, both the room and the indicators. You just have to renew. Whereas a partner owns the indicators for life, as a concierge client, you renew the whole thing every quarter. Or you can take advantage of the annual rate, which will save you $1,000. So that's something to consider too. After your first quarter, like if you're at the end of your first quarter, I mean, if you take a look at your, profit and loss statement and go, man, why wouldn't I save the $1,000? Cool. If you want to continue at the quarterly rate, that's cool too. I mean, I'm trying to save you money, but we'll take it however you want to spend it. Okay? So that's the story of what happened on the NQ. We're winding down here, guys. We're almost done. Once again, these are last week's zones. Okay? Okay. Now, the alerts went out last night at 2000. So that's that candle right there. Okay. All right. And now on the Russell, which pays $100 a point. The S&P pays 50 a point. The Russell pays 100 a point. I know not all of you have Russell data, but for those who do, I continue to serve you. RLM U6 by 1252. By 1252. Is that about right? Is that about right? snap. Where are you, 1252? Okay. So that's the shebang on that. Buy 1252. Buy 1252. Okay. So, coming into this trade, this made it up 5 ticks. And I know what you're taught about your stop loss. You know, if you're trading in the live trading room, you're trading one way. This way, you're trading a little bit different. You know what? I'm just going to call that a stop out. And today, I'll show you exactly how much you got stopped out by at the meeting. Now, price gets back below the trigger. Off we go again. And we put in a high at 56.1. So that's going to be $410 per contract available. $410 per contract available. Because there's 4 points, 4.1 points. There's 10 ticks to a point. Pays $10 a tick, $100 a point. So that's $410. Okay. On the sell side, the sell side for the Russell was 1244, which didn't happen. So that's all you got so far. I mean, this thing could take a dive. The markets are almost closed. But now these are the Concierge Trade Alerts. So these alerts are valid until the new set of alerts come out tonight. That's important to remember, okay? They're good around the clock. Until the new batch shows up in your inbox, the old batch is still valid. Okay, let me see. Okay, so Ken says I can right-click copy, and then I come down here and I right-click and I paste. Oh, good job. Very good. You're onto something, my man. Thank you, Ken. I will use that. I sure will. Oh, and Don says, I think you lost the cut and paste of the straight line because you performed another function before pasting. Yep, Don, you probably are right. It's also easier. Now, Don makes a good point here. Now, this is just for everyone in general. It's also easier to draw accurate lines on a chart if you switch momentarily to a smaller time frame, like a 5-minute, drop the line in and flip back to the 30. Thank you very much, Don and Ken, both of you. Sorry, Dwayne, missed it, but when on the Concierge Alert trial, we get the indicators as well, so that means we have to get the indicators downloaded. Do we get instructions for that, as I have forgot how we did it? Yeah, I'll talk to everyone who's in that webinar this afternoon, Michael. I recommend, what platform do you use now, Michael? Michael G. Or do you currently have a platform you're using, Ninja? Okay, I will send you an email that has instructions on how to get the Ninja indicators up and running. It's going to require you installing a little file. You import it. You don't open it. You just import it. It's called the RJ No Gap. I'm not a Ninja guy, so I'm not the best one to answer your questions, but tomorrow morning in the live trading room, you can ask that question to Michael if you want. And there will be plenty of guys in the room who do use Ninja. Also, part of the process is that you have to send me your machine ID, and then I turn your indicators on through the end of the trial. Okay? So remind me about that this afternoon, because I want to point everybody that's in that meeting, because some of you who are on the Concierge Trade Alert trial aren't even aware, I don't think yet, that you have access to the live trading room and you have the indicators for the week that you're on the Concierge Trade Alert trial. So today I'm going to get you pointed towards Daniel's Trading or Ninja. If you've already got Ninja, that's probably the simplest route. If you don't have either, then the best route to go is certainly DT Pro, because you have Bert and Leslie. 866-928-3310. You don't get a phone room in a third world country. Got nothing against third world countries. Been to lots of them. Loved them all. But Bert and Leslie speak English as a first language, and which is a plus for all of our clients who English is their first language. We have a lot of clients who English isn't their first language, but Bert and Leslie, while they don't speak multiple languages, they really have a heart for the CFRN trader. And if you call, man, they'll do whatever they can to make sure you get your charts set up properly, get your indicators indicating, all things flowing as they should be. Boy, without those two, Michael and I have managed, well, if it wasn't for the grace of God, none of this would have happened. That number one. Number two, without the support of Bert and Leslie and Daniel's Trading and the ability for our clients to take a trial of DT Pro, and then, having brokers that if they choose to open an account there, they can actually call and talk to them. They answer the phone. Hey, this is Bert. Hey, this is Leslie. Every time you call. I mean, that's just unheard of in this industry. It's absolutely unheard of. I've been trying to get this guy over at Multicharts to call me back for, I don't know how long. Because he called me and wanted my indicators on his platform. And I said, well, I'm not so sure about this. But after much debate and discussion, we decided, all right, we'll take a shot. And, I'm just really dismayed at his inability to pick up a telephone and call me. I really am. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, Dan, if you're out there, call me, please. Even if it's to tell me to go stuff myself, fine. But at least call me. I know you're a busy guy, so am I. And somehow maybe you called and I missed it. And if so, then I deeply apologize for everything I just said. But I've emailed, I've done all I know how to do. And I just, I just need to talk to you. I thought I made that evident last week, but I don't know. I'm not trying to start a fight. I don't want to make an enemy. I want to make a friend. I want to build a partnership that will be lucrative for us both. But somebody's got to get off the pot and get this thing moving. Or, I don't know. I guess we just, no, we don't just forget about it, because that's not possible at this point. So, I don't know. Maybe you'll call. trial lasts for a week, Ken. Don, in order to attend the webinar this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, you must be on the Concierge Trade Alert free trial. I'm going to put into the chat box the address where you go to sign up for said free trial. Give me 1 second and I'll have it in the box. You go to that address, and in the first post, upper left-hand corner, it gives you the link to go sign up for the trial. Yes, it costs $1, I know. Once you're signed up, I will send you an invitation to the webinar this afternoon. And then I will work with you throughout the week to make sure that you understand how to use the alerts, where to set your stops, how to use the indicators to spot your targets, all the things that you need to know to make because what's happened with the Concierge Trade Alert trial is I have not given hands-on attention to the potential clients as they came through. I saw it as a bit of a more sophisticated product, and I just sort of assumed that those who would be interested in that type of a product at that price tag would know kind of how to use them. But I've since learned that, in fact, you do need some help. And if you're already a Concierge Trade Alert client, I don't want to, talk at you in a 30, 45-minute webinar. I want to spend time with you one-on-one in a private mentoring session so that I can really help you, okay? And so once again, I'm going to put into the chat box the address, the emini.cfrn.net. That's the easiest way for you to go click one link, bang, you're on the trial, okay? The second link is for those who are already Concierge Trade Alert clients or any kind of client, any kind of partner. If you want to spend 45 minutes with me, I keep it to 45 minutes per session because the human mind can only absorb so much at one time and retain it, okay? And 45 minutes is kind of pushing the limit. But we usually spend the first 15 minutes, saying, how you doing? No, how you doing? How's your weather? No, how's your weather? That kind of stuff. So I try to shortcut that stuff, not because I want to be, rushed, but, your time's valuable, and there's always somebody waiting behind you in line for their session. And so I want to get as much done in a positive way. And here's the one thing I want you guys to do. If you're in a mentoring session with me and I'm talking a lot, which I'm known to do, and not giving you space to ask your questions, please say, hey, Dwayne, can I interrupt you? Yeah, what's up? Could I ask you a few questions? I have written a few things down I wanted to ask you. That immediately takes the pressure off me because I'm usually dancing as fast as I can and I'm trying to answer questions that I think you have. Oh my gosh, the sessions go so much easier if you have a list of questions. Okay, Dwayne, can you answer this? I'll answer that, and we'll just work our way through the list. And that's probably the most efficient way to use our time in a mentoring session, is for you to come with a list of questions and just let me answer them for you. I'll show you my charts. if you want to show me your charts, because maybe you're not sure you're seeing something right or have something set up properly, we can spin that thing around and make you the presenter. But the important thing is you'll be the only one there, and so you'll have my undivided attention for the full session, okay? All right. What market have we not covered? We've covered the S&P, we've covered the Dow, we've covered gold, bonds. We're now in the right month for bonds, December. We've covered crude oil. We've covered the soybeans. We've covered the NQ. We've covered the Russell. And that's all, folks. True story. So this is interesting. Greta Van Susteren departs Fox News after 14 years on the same day that the other Greta gets $20 million in a sexual harassment suit. I wonder what this guy did to her. You know, I'm kind of curious. Fox harassment suit. Fox settles with Gretchen, oh, I'm sorry, not Greta, Gretchen Carlson over Roger Ailes' sex harassment claims. Okay, let's break it on down, New York Times style. Parent company of Fox News said on Tuesday that it had settled a lawsuit with its former anchor, Gretchen Carlson, who said that Roger Ailes had sexually harassed her when he was chairman of the network. A 21st Century Fox Corporation news release did not specify a settlement amount, but a person briefed on the settlement said that it amounted to $20 million. The person also said that at least 2 other women had settled with Fox, stemming from complaints they voiced to investigators from the law firm Paul, Weiss, Wharton, and Garrison, which 21st Century Fox hired to look into the accusation against Mr. Ailes. In its statement, the company apologized for the behavior, saying, "We sincerely regret and apologize for the fact that Gretchen was not treated with the respect and dignity that she and all of our colleagues deserve." Mr. Ailes resigned from Fox News on July 21st, 2 weeks after Ms. Carlson filed her suit. Man, that was a fast $20 million. Initial reports that Mr. Ailes would pay a portion of the settlement were rebutted by several people familiar with the details, including Susan Estrich, Mr. Ailes' lawyer. Mr. Ailes is not contributing anything, she wrote in an email. Additionally, Fox News abruptly announced just minutes after 21st Century Fox confirmed the settlement with Ms. Carlson, the departure of Greta Van Susteren, one of the network's most recognizable talents. She's been with them for 14 years. Her departure is effective immediately. Oh my goodness, I wonder if she's sick. Brit Hume will take over her 7 p.m. time slot beginning on Tuesday night. Oh, a financial disagreement with the network led to Ms. Van Susteren's exit. According to a person familiar with that situation, Greta was only informed in writing on Tuesday of her departure. The person said, and had expected to go on air Tuesday night. Oh, so she didn't leave, they kicked her to the curb. Her contract was not immediately up for renewal, the person said. In a Facebook post today, Greta wrote that she decided to leave the network late last week, saying, "Fox has not felt like home to me for a few years." She said she could not wait because of a time-limited exit clause in her contract. Ms. Van Susteren's husband, John P. Cole, said in a private interview on Tuesday that his wife exercised what is known as a key man clause on Friday, which allowed her to leave if Mr. Ailes was not in control. He said there's so much chaos, it's very hard to work there. He said the timing of her departure with the announcement of the settlement with Ms. Carlson was a coinky-dink. Okay. Asked about why she had exercised the key man clause, he said there's more than meets the eye and there might be litigation in the future, so he did not want to talk further. In a statement, Mr. Hume said of taking over Ms. Van Sustern's time slot, I am happy to take on this assignment for the balance of this extraordinary election. Fox News co-presidents Bill Shine and Jack Abernathy said in a statement, we are grateful for Greta's many contributions over the years and wish her continued success. She, on the other hand, provided no statement. The evidence that Ms. Carlson had in her sexual harassment case were damning, according to another person with knowledge of the settlement. For a year and a half, she had been recording her meetings with Mr. Iles on her cell phone. In an interview with New York Times in July, Ms. Carlson said she had been in between 6 and 10 meetings with Mr. Iles where he made provocative comments. The vast majority of the remarks quoted directly in her lawsuit against Mr. Iles included lines like, I think you and I should have a sexual relationship a long time ago, and then you'd be good and better and I'd be good and better, were taken straight from the recordings. Officials at 21st Century Fox became aware of the recordings after Ms. Carlson's lawyer spoke to Paul Weiss investigators about 3 weeks after she filed the lawsuit on July 6. Settlement talks started shortly thereafter, and a deal was reached in mid-August. Oh my God, she made $20 million in a month. As part of the settlement, Ms. Carlson signed a confidentiality agreement. News of the settlement was reported earlier today by Vanity Fair. Now, I know you think Vanity Fair is just like a ladies' magazine, like Better Homes and Gardens. Some of the best editorial stories that I have read over the years came from Vanity Fair. Ms. Carlson issued a statement saying she was ready to move on to the next chapter of her life in which she will redouble her efforts to empower women in the workplace. I want to thank all the brave women who came forward to tell their own stories and the many people across the country who embraced and supported me in their hashtag Stand With Gretchen. Yowza. I wish somebody would harass me. The link does not work. emini.cfrn.net. Well, yeah, it pretty much works. I mean, I'm not sure. If you're using Internet Explorer, well, I'm not surprised that's, I shouldn't say that. Anyway, emini.cfrn.net. And there it is. Now, if you want the long picture, I'll give you that too. There you go. You can also, if you want, you could do stuff like put www.emini.cfrn.net, and that works. Oh, if you put the W's in, it can't. Maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're putting the W's in. W's are dead. http:// There you go. W's are dead. While you are working on things, the free chart CBOE News does not work on Android devices. Well, Jay, thanks for the heads up, but we're not really building the site for mobile devices. We're building it It will be mobile responsive, but we're not really building it for mobile devices. So I do have an Android device here. Let me see what happens when I go there on my Android device. Look now. Okay, so open Google and type in FRE, freecharge.com. Boy, it read my mind. Okay. It's taking me there. It resolves as freecharge.net. I'm going to fix that. That's not necessary. Okay, so let me scroll down. Down, doobie-doo, down. I don't even think I don't even see the CBOE news on commodity quotes. Oh, CBOE news. Okay, I found it. Yeah, our web designer is going to have this thing hopping in no time. This plugin is not supported. Yeah, Android does not support that. So you have to look at it on your desktop, I guess. Now, I'll show you guys where he was trying to go. He was trying to get to, and I'm sorry that it doesn't work on Android. If there's something that can be done to fix that, then our web designer, who is extraordinary by all means, she will work on that. CBOE News, and bang, we're up and running. You got the most recent, the most popular, daily market news, education, and more education. A lot of great stuff. You'll find yourself coming here a lot to pick up your news. And I'm so sorry, Jay, that you weren't able to get that on your Android device. So note to Latrell, if you're listening, let's see if we can, on our mobile version, if we can get the CBOE News plugin to work. Okay? Okay. And maybe if I write that down. CBOE on Android. Okay. Yeah, guys, as you bring stuff like that to my attention, I'll always look into it and see what I can do. Sometimes you might have to remember me a couple times, but eventually you'll get my attention. So we're done. We covered every market. Oh my goodness, look at what time it is. And we made this 3.5 point run up, but we didn't get below the trigger again. Now we're going to go on to put on a higher high. So for those of you on the daily double that stayed in that trade, I guess you got to get back to 80. You got to get back above 80. Actually, 87 was the, I think, the final call. But I can't talk about that right now, can I? Okay, so I got to go. Now, if there are any questions that I missed, because there was a lot of stuff in the chat box today. If I missed anything, type a Y in the chat box right now, and I'll know that you're typing me a message. Because other words, I got to sign off. So I'm going to count backwards from 5, and if I don't get a Y in the chat box, I'll know that all questions have been answered, and I'll sign off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's going to do it. If you have any questions about the webinar this afternoon, about taking the free trial, for those of you that have problems with the PayPal thing, I mean, I don't know what to say. I've already worked something out with Michael G. But all of our clients pay us with PayPal. But somehow this one little dollar, I know you've had a problem forever with PayPal, or you just don't like them. I got my own issues too. But Angel, send me an email at support@cfrn.net. Tell me why you have the problem with PayPal. It could be because of the country you're in or something. I mean, I don't know. Just give me some reasonable excuse. And I'll see what I can do. Understand, guys, it's not about the dollar. I mean, I think everybody's kind of figured that out. It's not about the dollar. It's about a commitment. It's about saying, I'm serious enough to go through this process that is going to force me to make a decision. See, you can take a free trial and then, hey, you're not forced to make any decision. But when you take the Concierge Trade Alert trial, because it's a subscription-based service, because you pay that $1 for the free trial, 2 days after the free trial is over, you have to make a decision. You have to log into your PayPal account and cancel the subscription, or do nothing, and it will automatically bill you for the first quarter. So see how fair that makes it for both me and you? It also, not only does it keep the tire kickers away so that I have more time to work with people who are serious about trading for a living, but it also helps you, because at the end of a week you go, man, that's what it's like to be a trader. Now, I either have to admit that I'm not quite yet ready to become a trader, and I'm going to have to stop fooling myself and put this thing on the back burner, or maybe just put the pot back in the pantry because you're not ready. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't make you bad. It just means you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. But at least by logging in and canceling, you're admitting to yourself you're not ready. So, because remember, God has a purpose for everyone's life. And if this is not part of his purpose for your life, if this is not how you're going to raise money for ministry and do the things that he called and created you to do, then guess what? You really need to stop staring at these screens all day, dreaming of gold teeth, fur coats, and Bentleys, and go do something. Not just something, not just anything. Go do the thing that he created you to do, so that you can feel some fulfillment in your life, some purpose, some passion, some destiny. You can go to bed at night tired, a good kind of tired, knowing that you did your very best. You gave 100% at everything you put your hand to that day. That you didn't just spend another day wandering around, wondering, who am I? Why am I? And what am I here for? So you see, You see how that $1 benefits you? I understand if you got problems with PayPal. I still think it ain't about the dollar. It's about you taking care of business or getting off the pot, as they say. And I don't mean marijuana. We're talking library here. Okay, I got to go because I got to get ready for this thing this afternoon. I got to, oh my goodness, look at that thing jump. I almost messed up and told you it needed to run to 2187, but I said I can't do that, so I'm not going to. God, I love being the boss. You can just do anything and there's nobody to yell at you. So, amen, brother. Hey, thanks for tuning in. You know I love you. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-host and guest. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.